Welcome to UX Banter Season 6, where we sit down with design leaders to hear their stories, insights, and what drives their passion for creating better user experiences. This season, we are exploring everything from designing with AI in mind to building trust, navigating industry shifts, and staying inspired in a fast moving field. This podcast is presented by Galaxy UX Studio and powered by Galaxy Publics, an Inc. 5000 company. And I'm your host, Dushyant Kanungo. Welcome to the show. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Season 6 of Galaxy UX Studios UX Banter podcast. I'm your host, Dushyant Kanungo, and our guest today is a creative powerhouse with over 2 decades of experience in advertising and design. He's led companies for global brands like X, PlayStation, Oreo, Verizon, and Toyota. And his work has been recognized at the highest levels, including Cannes, the One Show, and the New York festivals. After traveling the world as a freelance creative, he is now shaping bold visual storytelling as the head of art at Ogilvy, New York. Please welcome Hernan Ibanez.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the kind words. Kind of hard to believe of the journey that I've been through.
And no, thank you for joining us today for the show and tell us about the journey. I mean, it's a very interesting path that you took. You come from as far away from where I am based at and working all the way up north. I mean, as far as you can actually go in New York City from your origin place of, your country. So how the journey has been like?
It's been really, it's been an amazing journey. And I think that's also being like definitely an unexpected, never imagined the journey to be the way it is. And I cannot be happier with the way it was. But essentially the journey started in my home country in my town in Rosario, Argentina. So not Buenos Aires, not even Buenos Aires, which is like oh super big. So this is a smaller city, and that's where it all started. Like as starting as a just stumble upon the world of design and in our direction. It wasn't necessarily intended. My since my childhood, the main focus or what I was obviously the path that was obviously going to go apparently so was more into the coding robotics and mathematics and stuff like that until I actually stumbled upon the world of design and advertising, and then ended up leading me or letting me to bringing me to the states, first into LA and then briefly Miami and then New York. So, and here I am. I can't even believe myself that it's been 20 years, uh, more than 20 years since I've been in the United States.
Wow. And how does the transition, I mean, you say it is unbelievable, but how much impact it actually has made as a professional on you, having that different sort of cultural context and understanding, because it's not just South America, but also the East Coast and West Coast makes a lot of difference as well.
Yeah. It's interesting because obviously the biggest shock was the transition from Argentina to the United States, right? So new language, struggling with it. I'm still struggling with the language. So so it's like that's the biggest shock. And culturally, how people behave and the things that people do or how the people do, even in the work environment, but also outside the work environment. So that kind of like I never really wanted to lose my identity, but I wanted to quickly fit in, anyway, because I knew that that was important, to be able to have a career, right? So, and then as you mentioned, then once after 10 years, oh, I think I'm fine here. I think I get the vibe here in LA, how people live, how they do, and here we go, change. And then why not change it, and we went to Miami, and then 1 year later to New York. So boom, 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 change and change and change. I have to say, I think like from all the different places, New York is the one that I feel like I am most the closest to my core version would be me, because it allows you to do that, because such a melting pot outside on the street but also in the work environment. So it feels like it's really cool when you can be part of a different culture but yet still being yourself. So I love that about New York.
So you work with a huge team and of creative people, and just imagining that many creative heads coming together in one room, it's always something or the other going on. Can you tell us about any project that you feel that was quite rewarding to your own belief system and you are really proud of?
I remember the first thing that comes to mind. It was actually one of the first projects that I had to do here in New York. So I was coming from Miami, and then I came to YNR, New York, and working on the Colgate account. And a friend of mine that actually was the one that uh, we worked together multiple times in my career. He was there, and had this idea that it was amazing in paper. It wasn't the idea, and was amazing. We were able to execute it, and it took a long time to present it, to have it approved, and then execute it. Very well crafted with the help of a lot of people. But then it ended up being in the cover of the Lurcher Archive magazine, which for me, that to me was very, very rewarding, and sometimes probably more so than most of the any other awards that I won, because the Archive magazine for me, as I was starting to be as studying or working on design and advertising industry, it was a magazine that I would look forward. I had subscriptions, and would look forward to for it to come, the new edition. So I would look for it. And then now, cut to 20 years later, here I am and being featured in the cover, or the ad actually being featured in the cover. It was like I still sometimes don't even believe it if it really happened, but I think it did happen for real.
You have to be absolutely proud of it because the magazine is the benchmarking design. It is the design historians when they go back and look and talk about it. Those sort of things actually do matter. That it has the longevity of
Mhm.
how people are perceiving design, the academia, how they look at it. I mean, everybody, every single designer out there dreams of making the mark in a way where it can be documented about what they have actually come up and what they have designed and put it out there in the world. And just to another question about the big size of the team and multiple creative heads, how do you keep the journey or everybody on the same page? It must be everybody running in their own direction sometimes.
Yeah, and I think the way you do it, and I think like you have to have an open mind, because you can't pretend to everybody to be in the same page all the time. It's impossible for that to happen. Obviously, you want everybody to, you have a goal ahead of you. You have things to accomplish and stuff. But I think that there is, in a creative environment, there's got to be a little bit of a loose ends at some point, and that's where magic sometimes happens. So it can be so rigid. And also, there's people from different places with different background, different culture, different way of working, different way of how they come up with ideas. So sometimes there's the struggle is how you find a balance on, let them be who they are so they can do their best work, but also what is the way that everybody works together. So for me, the best way, and I don't know if there's actually one solution, the best way is make sure that everybody understand that there's a collective team. So it's whether it's 2 or 3 people working on a project, or 30. You have to be very clear that this is everybody owns this thing. This is everybody's puppy. This is not like a project. It's never, rarely a one person thing, and goes on. So the most important part is for me is to make sure that keep the one team sort of spirit, right? So everybody plays for a same team, which is obviously somewhat of an abstract concept, but I think it works at the end. When it works much better, you can even sometimes tell for the outcome if this is a collective effort, or even a painful one, as a painful process, or if it was an enjoyable process. If you enjoy the process, if you love what you do and love the people and respect the people that you do it with, it will somehow come through the actual work.
So I don't generally ask this question. It's quite something that I personally wanted to ask. As a design head at such a big creative firm, what does your day looks like?
Yeah. It sometimes I ask the question. That's the first thing that I ask to myself in the morning. What does today look like? Not every day looks the same. I think that's probably the most the pattern is that they don't actually look the same. The days are can change depending on, are we in the middle of multiple projects, and there's a lot going on, or are we on a one humongous project, are we finishing projects or stuff. So but essentially what it is a lot of days of a lot of calls, a lot of coffee, a lot of jumping from one project to another, and relying and a lot of people too. You can't do this without a lot of people helping, and people that really want to help. So my day usually usually I get one when I go to the office, which is usually 3 to 4 days a week that I go to the office. I tend to go early, really really early, because that will, there is something about being in an empty space, to start the focus, and then the madness begins, and then that's okay and that's cool. But I want to start, with a little bit of, you know
Reason
calm, and
before
yeah,
gauging the. So
prepare. Yeah,
I also think that the managing the creative faucet and maintaining the pressure, as in the creative pressure, that is equal. I mean, sometimes somebody would be on a high caffeine drive, another one on a sugar high, and then you are trying to find the middle ground where everybody is like, no, this thing works, that, I have just
yeah,
invented sliced bread or something, and then you have to be the referee. That wait a second.
yeah.
All right. So with that, I want to take you to a rapid fire round. A few questions for you if you're ready.
Love it.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Morning or sunsets?
Morning.
Okay. Books or movies?
Movies.
Favorite movie?
Oh, I am a big, big fan. This is not, I can't say it's my favorite one because I have too many favorites. So therefore, there goes the concept. But I think The Big Lebowski.
Nice one.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Your favorite go-to pastime?
As in like a travel place, or?
Anyway, a pastime as in when you have some time to kill, what do you do for entertainment?
Oh, definitely watching football or soccer, should I say.
Nice. YouTube or Netflix?
Netflix.
Any show that you can recommend?
Well, I love. There's a new, being a little bit biased here, but there's a new Argentine series called The Eternaut. It's out
It's on
there,
my watch
and
list.
yeah, yeah, love it.
It's on my watch list.
Watch it; it's amazing. And unfortunately, obviously, the translation or the caption is never, it's usually it's always better to watch in the native language, but it's really, I'm really proud of Argentina doing a show like that.
Your favorite snack?
My favorite snack. So I sometimes I think I consider even coffee snack. I think I drink it as a snack, and like it's just bizarre. But I would say crackers, like definitely crackers.
And something that you can cook anytime you feel like?
I'm from Argentina, so any form of meat, definitely that would be it. Yes, grill meat, and any form of it.
All right. So I think we got a, sort of an understanding that, who you are. There are more questions, but let's stop at that. So in the age of AI generated artwork and a creative input pipeline that has now become
Mhm.
not hypothetical, but mostly somewhere the adoption is going in a direction where people are thinking about including it in our process flow. What
Yeah.
is your take on the updated process as we have it?
It's very interesting. This type of conversations happens, like, it's funny because it happens like eh, so often. This questions even between with peers and colleagues and stuff. So this is a very very recurrent question, and I feel like because everything is changing so fast, then the answer itself is changing. Like sometimes I find myself like thinking about it one way, and maybe 2 weeks from now I think like, oh, but maybe it's this way. But what I would say is that I think what it needs to happen is, or probably the most difficult part would be the shifting and the mindset and the shifting how we approach work. And I think like people like me that are older, those are the ones that are gonna be struggling the most, because we'll still consider and see it whether it's right or wrong, if it's good or not, but we're still looking at it as a tool and not necessarily as a way of approaching the flow. We're still like kind of like inserting AI because everybody needs to use AI. We're still trying to insert it in our own model of of a workflow. So we're still in that phase. I think that eventually will be more like an actual integrated, like how AI affect and the AI tools affect and somewhat dictate the workflow. I don't think we have cracked that yet. I think we have amazing tools, and some tools are not that amazing. Some tools are, we can have the debate if it's ethical or not, all of that. But I think we're still seeing it as an amazing tool, which it is. But I haven't seen great work in how that shift the workflow. We at Ogilvy actually, which is part of WPP, we have the company have invested a lot of time and money into trying to achieve that. They're an amazing. We have our own WPP AI tools that help us in any part of the process of anything that we do and beyond the creative department. So I think that that's kind of like the beginning of something that shifting
That
the
connection.
workflow of how we approach work.
Yesterday, I was talking to Derek Bowman. He is the founder of Socrates.ai, and that's a fintech management company. And he comes from UX and design side. And one thing that he told me that when we started off 10 years, 15 years, 20 years back, there was some things that we learned at that time. And at this time, we have that knowledge that, this was the craft that we were working on. But
Mm.
now there is no advantage of somebody who has 10 years of experience or 5 years experience, because we are all learning everything together with these
Right.
new tools and the recommendations. So anybody who is coming in maybe a 1 year experience, if they are willing to learn and the new ways of working, if they are going exploratory, that gets them the advantage now. So you were right about saying that people who have experience, they are struggling the most. But I was also looking into the process flow that we are working on. And just before the config happened this year, I thought I cracked the code. I mean, I was almost there, that because it took me 2.5 years to figure out that I get the requirement and I deliver the product. What happens in the middle? Can we break it down
Mhm.
the processes and see what areas can be improved with AI? And one of the biggest concern was code wise, I'm just asking for, say, a routine or an algorithm that how to do with data like this to this. But with UX, we are actually putting in the actual requirement that this is the product, I need a breakdown, and all the information is going on to the servers. And legally it becomes a bit challenging because you don't want your NDAs to be broken. You really want the client to be confirmed with this is the size of the project that we are working on. And then comes the fact that in the bidding war, many people who are, say, we are saying 600 hours, and somebody says, I'll do it in 100. And you are bound to lose the project unless there is an agreement where we are legally agreeing that, okay, I'm not putting anything on third party tools, or you allow me, and that's when I can do it in 100 or even 80, because I'm going to use certain technology which is going to use third party servers. And beyond that ethical dilemma comes the fact that it is it's so rapidly transforming. I mean, FigJam wise, the whole
Mhm.
Figma Make, which is going to come, is going to be running on Cloud Sonnet 3.7, which is again another tool which is leading the pack. So
Right.
yeah, it's a day-to-day shifting landscape. Do you think that on the operational level, you are ready for that sort of transformation in the team as a leader?
That's a good question. Good question. I'm ready for the challenge, I would say, and I'm open for it. That's what I would like to believe that but again, there's so many things that are changing all the time. And it's again, at the operational level, you have to think of things as like, it's not just the creative process that's shifting. So while the creative flow or process of how you approach work, while that is changing, so there's a big shift for us creative, everybody else also outside is going through another form of shake, right? So it's like the whole thing shaking at the all together at the same time, and you gotta have to be able to hold from something. So I think we have to be mindful of that as well when we talk about operation. It's like we're trying to figure out our job, the creative, but as operation, we also try to figure out, like for example, there's like so many to if you ask me, I think there's way too many different ways to do things now, way too many tools that we don't know which way. Oh, ooh, I like that, and then tomorrow, oh, I like that. And it's like constantly changing, and it's difficult to make a decision, and we'll get there, but I think it's definitely gonna be a challenge.
Yeah, so last week after Fig Jam, there was a week of debate that we all had. And it turned out that even though we were debating on everything, I think the process that we agreed on in terms of research to coming to the tools actually that are generating UI,
Mhm.
there was a huge gap. You can get a kickstart, you can get like the first 20% in 1%'s time, but the remaining one you have to sit down and work, because changing whatever is generated, it will take time. Client requirements are not going to be fixed. And I think that is the direction that we need to see, that how smart we are to save in that 20-25% time at the very early onset of the project. Because if that is not decided, then you are just lost. And it is not going to impact the people who are running the business. It is just we need to ensure that our teams are capable of dealing with that sort of situations when they come. Some rethinking, some restructuring may be there in the future, but I think we are safe to say that we got still time to upgrade ourselves.
I
Um,
hope so.
with that, you work with a lot of people who come from different cultural backgrounds, and you are one of the hiring managers at your organization. What are the things that you look forward to when you are interviewing something or getting them onboarded at Ogilvy?
Obviously, when you go through any big company like Ogilvy or any of the big networks, you have the famous onboarding videos, or that you have to go through and all of that. And they teach you and they tell you how not to be check your bias and all of that. But I have my own. So I think like for me, the most important part is like you have to look for, well, feel like I have to look for the things that I cannot teach, the things that I, even as a mentor, I cannot give to them. And what that is passion and love for the work. I can I can help people grow. I can inspire. I can do many other things, but I cannot put in their vein the passion for something, right? Yes, it will grow. The better work, you know, they do, the more excited they get, and all of that. But the one thing that cannot be taught or forced put into the people is the passion for it. So what I look when in the hiring process is I try to only see if despite the fact if the skill sets are obviously they're very, very important depending on the seniority level for whatever position that we're looking for. The one common thread is like I try to see, for example, if I talk to them, I try to see when they talk about a project if there's sparks in their eyes or if they really care about a project or not. That actually is very, very important for me. If the way they express when they talk about a favorite project or not, or a favorite subject, or or skills, or what have you. I think I'm a very, very, I guess it's probably that's the South American in me, is like very passionate about things. So it's like that's the thing that I look the most.
And it is very easy to identify, isn't it? You meet somebody and the way they talk, the way they express themselves, the interest levels they have at the early onset in their careers. And actually, you can feel that this person is going to transform me, myself, my work culture, my team,
Right.
they have places to go. But for now, at least they are interested in working with us. And I completely 100% in agreement with you that, nobody can teach the passion or the interest that people have towards the work rather than being interested in the paycheck or the name of the brand they are
Right.
working. So, what is the one advice you would like to give to young professionals following on your footsteps?
I think that the most important part is like do like follow what's in your heart, what you want to do. I think it nowadays is difficult. It's easy to follow a trend. Don't go after somebody's like, oh my god, this person is amazing. Oh my god, this style is amazing. Oh no, what is inside of you? Because that's you are the person that needs to. You're the only person that needs to coexist with your own self for your entire life. So you can't become someone else, or you can't try to catch up with someone else. I think it's very important. Again, it's tied to what I was saying earlier with what I'm looking for, people, their passion, and what is it that they really want to do. Forget about for a minute. I know, I get it that people go, oh, I want in the creative, especially in the creative department, oh, I want the biggest title possible. I want to work for the biggest brand. I want to have the most amount of awards possible and all of that. I want to make a lot of money. That's people, there are people that follow that, and at the end of the day, and it's easy to get caught in that, right? But I think that, yeah, if you follow your heart, hopefully if you have a lot of interest in for crafting great stuff, whatever that is, if it's UX UI, go for it. If it's motion and 3D, whatever, or what is it that you're passionate about, it, stick with it. I think that's probably my advice. uh,
I mean,
and
this.
also my other advice is don't follow my advice.
So one thing that I recently started doing, and I actually noticed that I was doing it. So one thing that we've been doing at our end is I do the interview with the candidate, ask them or give them a test assignment, and then they come back in a day or two. And then I will say that explain the project. I'm not going to look at the produced outcome and just say yes or no. I want you to explain what happened
Mhm.
while they are doing it. If there is any feedback, I'll say this is right, this is wrong, this is correct, this is something that I like, this is something I don't like. And more than understanding whether the design actually is working out or not, I would rather gauge the reactions, that how defensive they go about their design. And and another part of it is that how they are taking the feedback and saying that, yes, I agree. And the points where they would say genuinely that I don't agree with what you're saying. And that disagreement actually is what talks about the spark they have. And also talks about the learnability and coachability of a junior that you are hiring. So I think keeping an open mind always plays a bigger role. Now, I'm not sure. This, in the end, you hire something there where the vibes are matching and the energy that you're feeling right, that, it fits in your team. But I think it is quite funny thing that people generally, well, of course, it comes with experience, but, getting to that point is always very, very difficult.
No, I think, look, you're right. I think the whole thing about, there's got to be a balance where, you might want to push, it's okay if you don't agree, and sometimes disagreement and pushing back can, lead to good things. Because look, when it comes to design, we all agree that, design by a committee is never gonna take you to any to greatness, right? So it's like, oh, everybody has an opinion, then you really don't have anything. It's like, oh, okay, so it's just right? So but then there's a, as I was saying, you're working with a team of people. So is a bigger effort than just one person doing their own thing. Otherwise you're an artist and working on a studio, and that's not what we're doing here. So we're working, like four brands with other people. So it's a collaborative thing. But I think it's important to learn both things. Learn how to first digest and not get angry and take it personally when it comes to feedback, and also how to push back obviously in a professional and respectful way, and how to express the disagreement. That's one of the things that for me, culturally, that I find a little bit more challenging here in the States. There is this sense that disagreement is a bad thing. Like, oh my God, no, I disagree with you. And maybe it's even the language, even the word itself sounds a little harsh and like fighty, and it people tends to take it like as if it is a bad thing. Disagree with something. I personally think like, from disagreement, sometimes great things is where it really comes. And I tell you, no, look, this is my point of view. That, it's different in your point of view. There is nothing wrong with that. But somehow, in certain context, in the states, can be taken as a personal thing. Like the disagreement is an attack, to your person. Yeah.
That is art of the deal. Uh,
Yes.
That aside, I thank you so much for joining our podcast with this enlightening conversation. And we learned so much about the fast-paced environment that big studios follow. And having somebody like you on this show always brings our reputation. And once again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure. So I'm here anytime.
So, anyone who is listening to our show, thank you so much for tuning in. That was the episode for today's UX Panther podcast. We'll be back soon with another episode and another lightning conversation. So, thank you very much and have a wonderful day ahead.